Yes, I'm like those fabulous Jasons. I am sat. Let me sit down for this live because it's about to go down. Over here messing with the church's money. Over here messing with our church's money. Okay. Welcome to another edition of Shelovesthee live Thursday night. We're going to start off the show with something just, non-HBCU related, just something that's been in the atmosphere. I'm going to show it to you, and then I'll probably do one more thing, and then we'll get down to business. Tonight, we are going to be discussing the MEAC. And, as you know, I'm really a SWAC channel, but the rumors coming out of the MEAC, they have a direct impact on SWAC. So we're going to talk about it. Hopefully, Mr. Ford will come on tonight and say his piece. When Mr. Ford get up here, I just let him speak. And so hopefully he'll get on here. And yeah. So, we're going to talk about, have a little guessing game on a head coach who should be named soon. I won't be, of course, breaking the news, but I'll throw some shots your way so that you can play any, mini, miny, mo. We'll talk about Jackson State Pro Day. I have some deets from Jackson State Pro Day, as well as another NFL draft watch, right? We have a couple of young men that we're watching to see whether or not whether they'll be drafted or undrafted free agents. We'll all be cheering along these HBCU student athletes. And so I'll just touch base with a couple of them as far as what they scored for their pro day. We'll look at their relative athletic score. What else am I missing? Reggie Barlow, he decided to leave the cupboard bare at the UFL Defenders. He's taking all his staff with him. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But tonight, y'all go ahead and put allegedly in the chat. But how you gonna fix it? It's always some miss, right? Always. How you gonna fix it? So the MEAC getting ready to mess up the SWAC's money. Speaking of messing with folks' money, I want to get your thoughts on this particular video. I have a funny poll chat. The choices are, this is just a play on Marvin Sapp's remix. It's called Close the Doors. So I'm going to play this video, and then you guys go ahead and vote on what do you think the new song should be called. We got a Howard alum in the transfer portal. Thank you, Dr. Kanisha. She says she's already here in the SWAC because she lives in Texas. So she's already here in the SWAC, but she said she's hopping in the transfer portal to the SWAC. Because I don't think Dr. Kanisha wants Howard to go to the CAA or any other conference outside of the MEAC. So here we go. This is Marvin Sapp. This is some type of like service that he had. And we're just going to get everybody's reaction. It's all in fun. Go ahead and vote. After you watch it,
and they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said, close them doors.
Close the doors.
Close the doors.
Close
the doors.
Close them.
Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant.
Okay, I just have to stop you right there. Because all I think about is cults. Wait a minute. What you mean close the door? My baby is in children's service. I need to go pick him up. What you mean? Close the door. Y'all close the doors. And then you just over there and you know that the ushers, they have on all white. They don't play. And you see all the ushers going and closing the door. Wait a minute. What's going on?
There's 1,000 of you tonight. And those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's online to give this. If I get, I'm challenging each of you all.
Wait. Oh, Lord have mercy. Y'all do not want me to be great. See what happened when you be messy? See what happened when you be messy? They don't want to let me be great. They don't want me to be great. I mean, I could understand that. If you get ready to collect $40,000, yeah, you do need to close the doors. Y'all do need to close the doors. I understand that. You know what? I think you know how folks are. We always make something bigger than what it is. That's how folks do. Especially Black folks that don't go to church.
To give a $20 seed.
$20
is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Melinda P. Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get one soda, 2 straws. I wasn't cheap. That's swag. I was looking in her eyes. She's looking in mine. Can't do that no more.
We need to be
now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seated, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100.
$20 in there.
Because again, it costs to sit up here. I got you.
It costs. It costs.
So put your 20 away, preachers.
Oh, he said the preachers ain't got to pay.
That 20 wasn't for you.
Oh, he said y'all ain't got to pay.
And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving.
Ooh, not
bring
y'all
the baskets.
all jump up.
I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk.
Come on now.
Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Yeah. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on the bucket.
That's not the same one, Ladarius. That's not the same.
Shh. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. This ain't the time to talk. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints.
Online?
This is an easy miracle. We should be able to raise $40,000 tonight just from y'all giving. That's it.
That's it? So I have a little jokey joke in the chat. Not too much. Y'all go ahead and make a vote. Marvin Sapp's remix, Close the Doors. The different titles that I have is Never Would Have Paid It. He Would Have Saw the Worst in Me. Not the Time Nor the Place. Or $20 Me Not. Which is play on Thirsty. Go ahead and vote, y'all. Go ahead and vote. Never would have paid. Uh-oh. A lot of y'all sit underneath cult-like coverings and just fine, but I'm a hush. Hush. We don't want to call them out. You too loud, Whitley. You too loud. They finna start sweating. Uh-oh. Her roots are from the original SWAC. Born SWAC. So if you ever need to know who is SWAC, Dr. Kanisha is SWAC. So y'all go ahead and pass that collection plate around. Never would have paid it. No, but in all seriousness, $20 is nothing. And when you have a large congregation of that magnitude and you're able to ask for everybody, for 1,000 people just to donate $20, and it's like, wow, all I have to do is donate $20 and I'm able to raise 20,000. That's crowdfunding. Good old Barack Obama style. He was taking $5, $10, $2 and getting it from people who normally wouldn't donate. Southwestern Atlantic Athletic Conference. This is Ladarius renaming for renaming the SWAC. I don't know about that. Close the doors. Listen, it's all in good fun. All in good fun. So that was funny though. There's a lot of folks that don't be in church anyway though. So it's kind of like when you already feel a way about something and you see something negative, you already affirm what you felt about church anyway. It's $20 stock talk. $20. She said the preachers ain't got to pay it because it costs to be in the pulpit. I heard that. All right. So next. You should ask Mr. Ford to do a Q&A. I do. I have my collection plate going around. I think it's called like gift $4.99. Dr. Kanisha already started it. And at the conclusion of that, we do the Q&A. Ladarius. I never met men who cry as much until I've gotten onto these apps. Y'all really do too much in these comments. Be 50 plus having a fit on the internet and arguing with women. Oh, Lord, you ain't never lied, Whitley. I had somebody come at me today because I just pulled up some stuff about A&T, and it was World War III. I'm like, young man, go on about your business. I don't want to argue with you. Like, go find somebody else to argue with. Leave me alone. Ain't seen a church or paid a tithe about to have. Are y'all going to church for Easter? Man, I remember Easter Sundays. That's when all the folks who never go to church, they'll go to church for Easter. Easter would be packed. All these heathens, and they bet Easter's best. They only gonna go Easter Sunday. That's the only time they going, once a year, but they going all out. Hair did, bow ties, everything. You had to get up at the crack of dawn and make it there early to get a seat because all these folks that don't never come. But you know, we welcome you, of course. I'm talking about packed. It would be hot up in there. fans going. Ain't nobody Christmas Eve, Christmas, Mother's Day, Easter, boy. They come for those occasions. And you know what? If that's when you guys want to worship with the Lord, then that's fine. That's fine. A lot of people go online nowadays, you know. But when I was growing up, you know, it'd be kids. It's like, dang, I didn't even know you knew this church existed. Heathens on Monday through Friday at school. But they was there for Easter Sunday with they church best. Easter used to be the church's Super Bowl Sunday. Man, what? You had to see who had what type of bow ties they had on. You went and got your hair done. Stockings. Make sure you didn't tear your stockings. Easter's and New Year's Eve are the 2 days I don't go to church. I let the heathens have their day. Now, we did not come here to tussle about church politics, Lord. Now y'all over here talking about the cults in church. Got the ladies, the elders that wear their hats, their church hats. Big old hats. And have the nerve to sit on the first 3 rows with them big hats. Let me stop, though. I was born and raised in the church. Baptist, baby. Johnny starting early. He act like we made up the rumors about the MEAC going to kaput. We didn't make them up. Not get into the building fund, y'all. Lord, let's not get into the building fund. If your church had a building fund, comment a house or a church in the chat if your church had a building fund. I will say this. My great-grandma's church had a building fund, and my church had a building fund. But we did, in fact, build something. Oh, God, have mercy on my soul. Y'all know y'all had the building fund. Yep, building fund, okay? Y'all leave Wit alone, okay? She already taken a break on Twitter. Don't be messing with her in my chat and make her feel like she wants to take a break from here. Leave Whitley alone. Mr. Thornton, North Carolina Central, you act like we are the ones that made up this egregious statement that the MEAC is on its way to kaput. We did not do that. We're going to talk about it, but we didn't make it up. Ladarius, stop. Y'all, it's about to get real. Y'all, it's about to get real. Mr. Ford, I'm about to let him off. He's just gonna do what he does. Let me go ahead and pull up the tweet. Listen. If you're ready to hear Mr. Ford and what he has to say about this MEAC debacle, let me get some allegedlys in the chat before he comes up. Okay, let me find Mr. Ford's stuff. There we go. I hope he got the street committee report. Hey, Mr. Ford.
Hey, baby, how you feeling?
I am so hyped because I just know you about to turn up, and
What happened?
I'm excited because I'm not going to be really saying anything. I'm going to just be pretending like I didn't hear what you said so you can repeat whatever it is that you said. But I'm so glad that you came in, and you came in we were just parlaying, just talking, just shooting it. Before we get into the MEAC debacle, I do want to go ahead and share, which I thought it was interesting. I did go to there's a website. It's called Raz Football, and it has all of the relative athletic scores of the athletes that are entering into the 2025 NFL draft. Jackson State had their pro day yesterday.
Right. Yes.
And Alcorn was there, Valley was there, and Delta State was in attendance. But I wanted to highlight these two young men, one of them from Jackson State and then one of them from Alabama A&M, because these are the highlights for HBCU in terms of a possibility of being drafted.
Right.
So the first one that I wanted to go over was, of course, Carson Benson.
Right.
He's an offensive tackle from Alabama A&M. His RAS score, relative athletic score, was 9.44 out of 10.
Yeah.
So he had a 5.12 40-yard dash. That's amazing for an offensive tackle.
Right.
He did do the 3-cone, and he got a really good grade on that. It says that he did not qualify for the shuttle, or he didn't do the shuttle. So that remains to be seen. That one's not on there. And I don't know if that's not something that he would do. But his height is 6'7". He weighs 314 pounds. Anyway, 9.44 out of 10 for an offensive tackle is amazing.
Right.
And they said that he knocked it out the park for his pro day. On Jackson State's end, we have Robert McDaniel. They have him listed as a strong safety. His composite size is great. His composite explosion is elite. And his speed grade is great as well. So he has a total of 8.9 out of 10. That's what he scored. I want to say that if anybody would like to look up the RAS scores for any of the other student athletes, you can go on RAS. Let me make sure this is right. Yep. So this is the most up-to-date one. 1.56 10-yard split, 4.55 40-yard run in 4.55 seconds. How you been doing, Mr. Ford?
I'm just so happy it's Thursday night and tomorrow's Friday. I'm looking forward to the weekend. We have a week to go before we have spring holidays.
And Max said he not fooling with you folks. He's in Africa.
Oh, yeah, so they say he's in Kenya, right?
He said, I'm out of here. Y'all got too much going on in America.
Oh, yeah.
So, Mr. Ford, have you heard?
Where
is your street committee at?
Okay, now you was asking me had I heard what now? Okay.
So before I ask you about what I'm getting ready to ask you, because I know you're about to go off.
No.
Before I ask you this, where is your street committee at? You must be, like you said, them kids is wearing you thin when it comes to
listen, that weather's good down here and they acting a fool.
Okay. Well, okay. So that means that you probably missed all of the festivities that's been happening. I know you got a burner on Twitter, but so this is basically what transpired. So yesterday, a South Carolina State Twitter page with no allegedly attached I don't think they said allegedly, basically said that there are a couple of institutions in the MEAC that are ready to leave.
Yeah. Your boy been preaching that about the last week or two. Blue. I've been listening a little bit to Blue. He's been talking about it.
So this actually has legs to it.
Yeah. Blue's been talking about it.
You know, it just caused kind of like an explosion online because I think people are all over the place in terms of what should happen. Like, how do you go from basically saying, okay, we're leaving, instead of as all of the presidents getting together and saying, hey, you need to resign immediately to the commissioner. Instead of saying that, how do you go straight to, oh, we're leaving and we're going to the CAA?
Well, it plays to the fact that the corruption is very deep in the MEAC. Before I go any further, how you doing, Miss Whitley? How you doing, Dr. Hall? Dr. Kanisha, how y'all doing? Always good to hear from y'all. Okay, but let me just say this. For the last 4 to 5 years, I've been preaching about the malfeasance and the lack of accountability in the commissioner's office in the MEAC. And I've been saying over and over and over again, if we don't combine the SWAC and the MEAC, that the MEAC was going to have to walk the plank because nothing was happening over there. Okay, see, here's the thing. For almost 20 years, they had the worst commissioner in HBCU sports. His name was Dr. Dennis Thomas. He did nothing. He was just awful. He didn't care nothing about the players. All he did was make sure that money was in the president's hands and then was in his hands. Okay, so now all of this stuff is catching up with them. But one thing I got to say, we can solve this problem. But now here's the thing I've been telling people, and I know you ain't gonna like this, Mr. Mona. We got to get out of that sinking ship called the NCAA. We got to get away from there. We can, if we have to separate, segregate, whatever, we got to get away from them. We got to go on our own. We got to separate from the slave master. And so I believe if we come together as the MEAC and the SWAC, then some of our institutions and the athletic programs can be saved. If we don't, you're going to see some of these athletic programs at certain schools, they're going to go the way of the dinosaur. Okay, we're just going to be talking about them like, they in the past. All right, so there's a solution, but it's just a matter of us putting the solution together, making it reality. And we got to get out of NCAA. The SWAC and the MEAC have to combine under the leadership of Dr. Charles McClure. All right? And so we'll go from there.
So here's a couple of things. So the first thing is that the elitism that you have coming out of the MEAC is like, ew, the SWAC? We would never join the SWAC. That's how they are. They want to join they want to join the PWI conference. So here's my question for you.
Okay, hold on. But that elitism that you're talking about, that's people that just want to be. They ain't here to know nothing. Listen, they ain't making no money in the MEAC. The money's being made in the SWAC. That's where the money's being made. So that's the way we got to go. But see, let me tell you something. That elitism that you're talking about, that's a distraction. Okay? It's kind of like you doing serious studies and then you stop your studies to look at that girl, Kim, what's that girl's name? Kim, she was O.J. Simpson's goddaughter. What's her name? Kim what? Kardashian. All right, you doing serious studies, and then you distracted by a naked picture of Kim Kardashian. That's what that elitism is. That's a distraction. Okay, and so we can't worry about that distraction right there. But we got to get our best heads, because we have some brilliant people in these HBCU universities. Put our best heads together, and then we can do that. We can do it.
So here's my thing that I looked at. So number one, if you cannot compete in the MEAC and haven't in football, what do you think you're going to do when you go to the CAA or any other conference for that matter?
Well, we've already seen that.
You go into conferences where you're not on equal footing, meaning they have better facilities. They have more revenue to invest in their athletics. And if you align with them academically, because one of the things that I hear is, oh, the academic profile of these schools matches what we want. I'm all for it. But the only problem is you have to be cognizant of what day and age we're in right now. These folks are segregating and you're trying to assimilate. Why are you trying to assimilate when these powers that be are showing you with all of their strength and might that they do not want to be in proximity of you? They're cutting funding, cutting grants, cutting scholarships, cutting DEI, cutting this, cutting that. Why are you using that as a excuse for why you want to go to this PWI conference that you cannot compete in? And then it's like, oh, well, we don't care about competing. We're in it for the money. Are you really making that much more money that you're going to sacrifice your history instead of saying, look, MEAC commissioner, we're going to ask you to resign, and we're going to ask for whoever you hire to have not been in the commissioner's office. Whoever you hire has to come from outside.
Well, one of the people that has a lot of solutions is the guy that used to be the athletic director at Bethune-Cookman. Was it Thompson? Lynn Thompson? I've always thought that Lynn should have been the commissioner of that conference, okay, instead of this nepotism that they had going on, you know, with from Dennis Thomas to Miss Steele and all of that. But I still say that that's a solution, and the solution is the merging of the MEAC and the SWAC with Dr. Charles McClellan as the head.
So how does that work in terms of the SWAC MEAC challenge? So here's the thing with, and a reason why we're talking about this is because there are a couple of games that take place that have an impact on the SWAC. One of them being, of course, the Celebration Bowl, and the other one being the MEAC SWAC Challenge. These are two games that are directly tied to the MEAC being there, right? So what does that mean for the SWAC? And what type of impact will that have? And furthermore, it's interesting to see MEAC schools so gung-ho about jumping ship to go to these various conferences when these conferences have cited their own difficulties. One of them being having exposure during the playoffs, scheduling their games to make sure that it fits around the newly created playoffs that they have at the FBS level. They talked about attendance. They highlight media rights deals themselves.
Right.
From North Carolina A&T, when they talk about their media rights deal and Flow Sports, they talk about it in a positive way. But if you look up like Flow Sports and you look at some of those CAA institutions and some of the people that go there and their various boards, they do not have anything nice to say about Flow Sports. Then you have your automatic bid to the NCAA tournament and a play-in. And when you win the play-in, you get $2 million for the conference.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this again. The NCAA is a sinking ship, okay? And right now, I think we need to separate or segregate ourselves away from them. Let me say something. Let's get away from the slave master, because that's all the NCAA was to us. Now, let me go back to somebody's on here is talking about travel. I've said it over and over. You start out with a 20-team league. You have 5 divisions, 4 teams in each league. The logistics part of it, you're trying to keep the teams in those 5 divisions with less than 300 miles travel. No, we're not asking Norfolk to come out and play in Mississippi every year. We're not doing that. Okay? But and see, here's the thing. Remember, I always tell you, there's nothing new under the sun. Okay? The model we would look at is the merger between the AFL and the NFL. Okay? And so one of the things I keep saying, and y'all try to tear it down every time I say it, but I'm going to continue to say it, is that because of the economic struggles that are happening in this country that are destined to be worse, I'm going to say it again, these major rivalries, the Grambling Southerns, the Jacksons Alcorn, the FAMU Bethunes, they're going to have to play twice a year. And it's going to be so much money is going to be made. But as far as us just solving this issue of the SWAC, MEAC merger tonight, it ain't happening. Even if we did it, if we met for the next month, it still ain't happening. It's gonna take a while.
They're acting like this so-called fallout for MEAC is going to be happening within the next 30 business days.
Well, I'm not shocked. I've told you this over and over. Okay, I told you, I said over and over. I said that the SWAC needed to come up with a contingency plan to absorb the MEAC. Why? Because the MEAC like leadership. Remember, success starts at the top. When I was looking at who was at the top, I saw no vision. Okay, for years I've always said, the Chinese say it, no participation, no observation. Okay, where had she served as an AD? Where had she been a coach? Where had she, she didn't know nothing about intercollegiate athletics. She was just the handpicked successor of a failed commissioner by the name of Dr. Dennis Thomas. Okay, you can go back, and it's probably on your show. You can listen to other shows that had me on there, and I told them at least 45 years ago, this was going to happen to the MEAC. I told them this, and I gave them solutions, as I'm giving solutions tonight. No, we can't solve the problem tonight. We can't solve it this weekend. But if we put our heads together, we can solve the problem. We can solve it, but it ain't gonna happen overnight now.
So Dr. Kanisha says, I would rather go down to Division II to CIAA than NEC or CAA.
That's what Dr. Kanisha, I agree with you. I'm gonna say it again. Let's separate from them people. Let's separate from the people. If we have to segregate, let's do that too. But let's get away from the slave master. Let's get away from them. They are sinking ship. Okay? That's what they are. Let's get
I
away
did
from
notice with the house settlement, like I feel like there's going to be some sort of reckoning, and the telltale sign for this reckoning is that St. Francis, the basketball team that Alabama State beat for their playing game, like immediately after the conclusion of that game, they announced that they are leaving D1 and going straight to D2. Like, you didn't even try D2. You're just going to go, do not pass go, do not collect $100. You're just going straight to D3 where there's no scholarships at all. And it was like, wait a minute, didn't you just win in your division? And St. Francis is in the NEC. So you are in the NEC, and there's some institutions. I don't even know if it's the institutions, or there's some presidents that are over there looking at the NEC and saying, yeah, we want to go there. Why would you want to go there if one of their top institutions for basketball went from D1 to D3? Oh, it says they won the NEC, the conference, not just the division. Right. They won, and they went from D1 to D3. And it's like, well, you guys must not be making too much money from your conference if you're immediately thinking about immediately just ending your basketball program and going straight to D3.
Listen, the way, listen, you will always have these Stockholm syndrome victims. You know, that man's water is colder than his own water. Okay.
It's really sickening because you don't even know you got a good thing going.
Yeah, but see, you got to always remember, you got a lot of our people who have self-hatred going on. They believe in their own inferiority, and they believe that they got to always run behind the slave master and be with the slave. Okay, so my thing is, let them people go on their way, but the sensible people, the 33% that's got some sense and know what we're doing, let's go another way. Okay, because you're gonna always have that crew that believe that that man's water is colder, and they believe that that man is superior. Okay, so let them go on.
So the problem that I have with letting them go on is that depending on if they choose to do this, which it's kind of, I've asked several times, okay, so what is it that is going on in that MEAC office? What is the dysfunction? And so basically they're just saying they're not
incompetent. That's the dysfunction. They're incompetent. Money. That's the dysfunction. These people are incompetent. Should have never been placed in those positions.
So somebody in the chat does say the MEAC does have an agreement in numerous sports with the NEC. All MEAC play their games in the NEC. The MEAC has so many teams in different leagues for various sports. And it is kind of different, right? Because like in the SWAC, all of our stuff is housed. Thank you, Miss Eva, for joining the membership. All of the stuff is housed like at one spot. We don't have any of our sports being played elsewhere. So for the SWAC, a lot of this stuff is kind of confusing. Like North Carolina A&T actually still participates in bowling in the MEAC, and they're going to represent the MEAC in the, I guess, like the bowling tournament. North Carolina A&T will be representing the MEAC.
Right.
And then you also have to look at the fact that Maryland Eastern Shore does not have a football program.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. See, if she had any leadership ability, you got 6 football playing schools. She should have demanded and mandated that Coppin State, that Maryland Eastern Shore, either get a football program or go join the CIAA. She should have demanded that 4 or 5 years ago. That's what she should have told them. Get a football program or go to the CIAA. That would have gave them 8. That would have gave them 8 football playing school. Coppin, then you got Maryland Eastern Shore.
Remember when Howard was in the SWAC for soccer? No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
CAA does not have enough schools with a bowling team. Oh, okay. And that's the thing. Like, at this point, you gonna have your kids all over the place. They're gonna be in the CAA for bowling, the NEC for golf.
Recipe for destruction.
Oh,
Recipe for
Mr.
destruction.
Ford. Mr. Ford. How you gonna fix it? Gonna fix it. How? So looking at this particular the CAA, I'm looking at the teams that are still there, right? And a lot of these teams are private schools. And then you just have a lot of teams that, like, folks are talking about bringing in all these schools, but why do you think they're trying to bring in all these schools? Because there's some more schools that are getting ready to exit the CAA. I know Blue's been talking about the possibility of all these other teams joining this particular conference. You have to ask yourself, why are they bringing in all of these new teams? You want to know the answer to that? Some of these teams on this in the CAA are planning on exiting very soon. Whether they plan on going to, I don't know if it's the Patriot League, maybe, or they're planning on leaving. So you have Towson, UNCW, which I want to say is UNC Wilmington, Charleston, William and Mary, Campbell, as we all know, Campbell's a private institution, I want to say, Monmouth, Drexel, Northeastern. Elon is definitely a private school. Hampton's private. Hofstra. Delaware's gone now. Stony Brook, and then North Carolina A&T. And you over here talking about bringing in multiple HBCUs. You know that some other schools are getting ready to take a sidestep, and you're trying to fill your conference. That's how I feel. The MEAC schools still have baseball, had to join the CAA after North Carolina Central dropped baseball.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand. As we need, baseball players, baseball teams. I didn't understand why. I guess it was financial.
Okay, so if joining the SWAC is off the table, Mr. Ford, what other idea do you have? So for me, I think that once they came out with this house settlement, all of the talks of D2 schools going to D1 disappeared. Right? Because the breakdown of how this house settlement works is so weird. So, for instance, the SoCon will announce today that it has set a football scholarship cap of 63. So basically, a lot of these FCS conferences are actually still capping it at 63, but now you can spread out the scholarship limit up to the roster max, which is 105. So now you had a situation where you basically halved scholarships and distributed up to 85. Now you're going to have the same number of scholarships, but you can give out scholarships up to 105, but it'll be a breakdown of those 63 scholarships. I'm just like, what is this diluting of the FCS? It's nothing changes in terms of the number of scholarships. Like you can spread the 63 scholarships up to the 105. That still dilutes it, because if you're a really good player, you're not getting ready to play at the FCS level for a fourth of a scholarship or a half. I really think that, like you said, the House settlement is really getting ready to separate some athletic departments, because you have to pay regardless of if you choose to opt in or not, from what I'm understanding.
Listen, if they're not going to join with the SWAC, then go back to the CIAA, because they nothing but a breakaway ship. Remember, I think the MEAC was formed out of the CIAA in 1970. It's supposed to be in the schools that were really interested in football. They broke away from the CIAA in 1970 and formed the MEAC. If you don't want to join the SWAC, go back to the CIAA. Go back to the CIAA. That's what you need to do.
Somebody told this he's a troll on Twitter, but he basically said that he would rather go D3 before joining the SWAC. He's Morgan State. He's from Morgan State.
Well, if you don't want to do it, like I said, go back to the CIAA.
I did want to announce, just as an announcement, that Michael McNair, the younger brother of the late legendary quarterback Steve McNair and Hall of Fame coach Fred McNair, he died in a hospital after he was involved in a crash last Thursday. And he leaves behind a son, Michael McNair Jr. So condolences to Coach Fred McNair's younger brother. Yeah, I don't want anyone's takes on taking a financial leap. That stuff is dead. As soon as that house settlement came out and folks actually did the work behind it financially, none of the Division II schools are jumping to Division I. That's out. And I think that's what the NCAA wanted. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that particular article about Michael McNair in the comments. Oh, let's see. Mr. Ford, we cannot hear you. Oh, you ain't got nothing to say? You silent today.
Well, like I said before, there's a solution. It's just a matter of whether or not, we want to seek the solution. But the solution is not with the NCAA. The NCAA, once again, is a sinking ship. Okay?
So what do? You just say we're no longer in the NCAA? Like, how does that even work?
Yeah. I mean,
where do you get your funding from?
We'll find a way. I mean, we don't have to do it overnight. Just like I'm saying, saving the MEAC isn't going to happen tonight, and it's not going to happen this weekend.
It needs to happen immediately. If I hear that 4 of the base of my of my conference are planning on leaving, I'm holding emergency meetings with all the presidents as soon as possible. And I am putting them on a 90-day stay with the resignation, the instant resignation of the commissioner. I'm saying here, okay, if they're saying, yes, we are planning on leaving, or they're confirming this rumor, then I would say, okay, let me get a 90-day stay. So it's written 90-day stay with the immediate resignation of the commissioner.
Yeah, but see, listen, I know for a fact for the last 4 to 5 years, they've done nothing in the MEAC. They didn't have any short-range goals. They didn't have no long-range goals. They couldn't answer no questions. All they talked about is, we beat Jackson State. We beat Jackson State in the Celebration Bowl. We beat said SWAC team in the Celebration Bowl. That was her answer to every question. Okay, so
we beat Jackson State. So
yeah, that's all she ever talked about. She never, like I said, she never had any short range goals. She never had any long range goals because she's incompetent. Okay, and so what's happening to the MEAC? They brought it upon themselves. They are guilty. It ain't about no CAA. It's about them doing nothing. So, like I said, if they don't want to join the SWAC, then go back to the CIAA.
And Johnny is in the chat, and he keeps asking, why are we worried about it? Well, we do have.
Hey, Mr. Johnny, remember, we are not an island unto ourselves. Okay? Remember, we all came over here under that bottom of that boat. We all stuck, we're stuck together now. We are our brother's keeper.
Yes, I was going to say, we have a vested interest in MEAC continuing.
Yeah.
We have a million reasons in the Celebration Bowl. We have a MEAC SWAC challenge that happens every year. We have millions of dollars on the table vested in having the MEAC. It's not just, why are you worried? Why are you all up in our business? When you messing up the church's money, when you over here messing with our funds, our coin, it's going to involve more than just the MEAC. If the MEAC is not financially stable to the point where folks want to leave, that has an effect on the SWAC. Period.
Always remember, people, success starts at the top. When I took a look and I saw Dr. Dennis Thomas as commissioner of the SWAC, commissioner of the MEAC, I knew they had problems. Let me tell you this. In the late 1980s, Dr. Dennis Thomas was the head football coach at South Carolina State. Those were the worst South Carolina State football teams I'd ever seen in my life. And I had been watching South Carolina State football since the days of Horry Banks. And next thing I knew, he was the he was the athletic director at Hampton University under Slick Harvey. And at that time, Slick was trying to finagle his way into being the dictator of the MEAC. But he had people in the way like Dr. Frederick Humphreys. So what he did, he finagled Dr. Dennis Thomas in as commissioner of the MEAC. And once he did that, that was like the beginning of the end for the MEAC. Yes. You can go and look it up. The reason that Dr. Dennis Thomas was the MEAC commissioner was because of the undercover work of Dr. William Harvey, president of Hampton University. He was a disaster as a football coach at South Carolina State. He was awful as the AD at Hampton, and he was nothing as commissioner of the MEAC conference.
So, I mean, I was thinking, like, what if you just come up with a 3-year plan, right? To stabilize the MEAC. So here's what I came up with: urgent stabilization and crisis management. Like, hell, whoever the commissioner is, you could damn near go to ChatGPT and it'll pull it up right for you. Okay? It's not rocket science. If you can't put it together for your damn self, go to ChatGPT and ask them, and they will tell you right away. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, that, and the third. It'll literally break it down for you, right? Break it down for you and tell you what you need to do. It's so easy. You just tell them what the problem is. So, immediate priority is to stop the schools from leaving. So or stop that rumor, or, have a joint statement that all of the schools are on board, right? Because if you have corporate sponsorships, ESPN, and a whole bunch of other people who are invested in your institutions, this type of rumor can have drastic and negative effects. The MEAC SWAC challenge, the Celebration Bowl. So the immediate priority is with institutions leaving for other conferences, or the particular, rumor. The MEAC must take drastic action in year 1 to retain members, secure funding, and restore confidence in the conference's future. So an emergency revenue strategy, and this is my thing, you're saying that they're so incompetent. Would they be able to do that? Corporate sponsorship blitz.
Well, you spoke the truth when you said the first thing that should happen tomorrow is that they should ask Ms. Sonja Steele for her resignation and then move forward. That's the first thing. Ask for her resignation tomorrow and then go from there. When you said that, you spoke the truth.
Yeah, that's number one, because if you're trying to show me that you're serious about change and that you are serious about retaining, earn me, right? Earn me. Let me know that you really are serious about it. You're gonna have to go, and I do not know the commissioner, and I'm not trying to take away nobody's job, but that's what happens in big Fortune 500 companies. Regardless if that person did anything wrong or not, they resign effective immediately. I'm resigning,
Right.
relinquishing my power. We're going to have X, Y, and Z at the interim. It is in the best interest of the MEAC conference to stabilize and build confidence back with our institutions, Lord have mercy. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing is reassuring your corporate sponsors. There's still money invested in the MEAC. You have the MEAC SWAC challenge. You have the Celebration Bowl. Folks looking at you sideways like, what you mean you finna leave? The CAA doesn't even have ESPN deal. They're with Flow Sports. So that is basically like, immediate crisis management right there is, of course, the stabilization and infrastructure of the conference. So corporate sponsorship blitz, secure at least 3 major sponsorships to generate immediate revenue. I know that would be hard, but I would just reach out to some of those sponsors that normally support HBCUs. Go to HBCU Go. It's something so bad, right? The TV and media rights expansion, the renegotiation of the ESPN deal, or seeking new partners for more exposure and revenue. The ability, because I know that this is one of the things that was really big for A&T, is that they wanted linear broadcasting rights. So maybe fixing it with ESPN and whoever else that they need to fix it with, so that they're able to broadcast on local in local areas. So in all of, like, in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, where else are we talking about? Maryland, DC area, the ability to broadcast some of those games locally on linear TV. Another thing that it's saying, HBCU Classic expansion, which you and Jerome have been talking about various classics that would do really well. It says add 2 major MEAC showcase events in neutral locations like Atlanta, Charlotte, or DC to drive ticket sales and revenue. The moment that Mike Vick and who else we got here? Jackson. Who else we have? We have Vick and Jackson. The moment that those 2 coaches were hired, there should have already been, similar to how the SWAC negotiated the Grambling State versus Jackson State in Vegas, they should have been doing a really big HBCU Classic. I remember Mr. Ford, you was talking about they wanted to play in Philadelphia.
Right. Yeah.
They should have immediately been on the phone.
One that comes to my mind was Howard versus Norfolk State in Philadelphia. That would be really big. Howard versus Norfolk State. Then you could go to Franklin Field and do Delaware State and Norfolk State.
Ain't no way. As soon as they sign, they should have been shopping around a classic.
Yeah.
MEAC Showdown. Norfolk State versus.
Still say the best place for that Aggie Eagle Classic is in Raleigh, Carter Finley Stadium, on the campus of North Carolina State. I still think that's the best place for that rivalry. Carter Finley Stadium.
Absolutely. So the next thing is a conference revenue sharing plan. This increases financial incentives for schools to stay in the MEAC through shared revenue streams. Like, even if you don't have it in front of you, you have those things on the table, and you have a 90-day grace period where you get that stuff together. Cost reduction strategy, regionalized scheduling, joint travel and equipment purchasing, venue contract optimization, secure long-term deals for championship games and neutral site classics to lower facility rental costs, consolidate some conference office positions and explore share costing models for athletic operations. Lord. So another competitive and recruitment retention strategy is a MEAC NIL initiative. Partner with brands to establish a conference-wide NIL collective so MEAC athletes can earn sponsorships, making schools more attractive. Enhance exposure and pro day expansion. Secure NFL or NBA partnerships for MEAC exclusive pro days, making it easier for athletes to reach the next level. Retention incentives for school. Provide financial bonuses or grants for schools that commit to staying in the conference long term. We talked about the expansion talks, but as of right now, those are kind of dwindling down. And I looked at Tennessee State's revenue that they get from the conference.
Mm-hmm.
It's like pennies. They're not even getting any money from the OVC. They literally just don't want to go to a black conference at that point because they're not making any money in the OVC.
Well, they'll go broke.
Like, I looked at it, I was like, I looked at it, I was like, why are you guys? I was told that you guys are staying in these different types of places because you guys are making a lot of money and you guys aren't actually making any money. Why isn't Tennessee State joined? And then that's the thing. If I see all this stuff about the MEAC, I'm not going to want to go to the MEAC because you guys have too much bad stuff. You guys have way too much bad stuff out about you guys. So why would I say, okay, I'm going to take my program and go there? No, I'm not doing that. So this is the newhousedata.org, and I'm going to copy and paste, y'all, because you guys can do this yourself. I know I had somebody come in there in my mentions today and tell me that I can do 22 other HBCUs. No, I'm not going to do that, but you can do it if you would like to. But I just want to show you guys this because I question, where are you? Like, why are you guys still there? And so the only thing that I could come up with is that, once again, and maybe there is this thing where you feel like academically you don't align with the SWAC. So that's why you don't want to be there. I'm guessing, right? But for me, it's kind of like, why they make it seem like the SWAC is so ghetto, but the SWAC is, in terms of athletics, the most stable.
And the biggest money maker.
They've had a 78.33% reduction from 2018 to 2023 in terms of conference, NCAA distribution, media rights, and postseason football. %78 reduction, but Tennessee State doesn't want to move from the OVC. Somebody was like, oh, you're trying to do a narrative. I mean, from 2008 up until now, that's a pretty good indicator. You don't have to do 20 years ago. The academics doesn't have anything to do with it. The leadership is stuck in their ways. Okay. Mr. Ford?
Uh-huh.
How are we gonna fix it? Well, and that gives that. I'm off my soapbox. As far as the crisis management, it doesn't look like you have the ability to even talk about garnering new members ASAP.
But let me say this. I just feel like the people at Florida A&M are brilliant because they got out of that shit.
Did they see the ship sinking?
Yes.
MEAC's like Rose in the Titanic when she was on that door. Come back.
Listen. I talk to people here in Atlanta who say that FAMU being in the MEAC was a 40-year problem. That the MEAC did nothing for them. It was a 40-year problem. And finally, after over 40 years, they solved the problem by getting out of the MEAC.
Brother on the head and say, follow us. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Back door. And Bethune like, where are we going? Just shut up and come on. All right.
There you go. So you can make some money.
I mean, Bethune, boy, listen, if anything, I would say that Bethune is the prime example of going through a financial crisis, a public financial crisis of epic proportions and bouncing back.
Yeah.
Y'all know Dennis Thomas is in the SWAC.
Yes, we know. He played at Alcorn. He was K-side. Yeah, we know Dennis Thomas biography very well.
If you want to fix your program, hire the I Love. Mr. Ford. So there's going to be a name. There's, Alcorn is looking for a new head coach, right?
In what sport? The boys men's basketball. Okay.
So I don't want to drop any gems right now, but what I will say is this: that oftentimes when you hire a Jackson State alum to, whether it be your band program, women's basketball, you had TC Taylor at the helm of Jackson State. Like, our alums are really good at turning programs around. So I think that Alcorn should hire somebody from VI Love.
Is it the associate head coach, the guy that was a star at Jackson? What's his name?
Oh, Mr. Ford.
What's his? The assistant head coach at Jackson. He was a star at Jackson State. What's his name?
I don't know. Who?
Yeah, he's always he was a big time scorer. He went NBA, I think. What's the assistant coach's name for Jackson State? He's like the associate head coach. He went pro. That's him, Trey Johnson. So you're saying Trey Johnson?
I didn't say anything. I said,
oh, okay.
If you want to have it done right, then hire a JSU alum. I didn't say nothing.
But Trey is next in line, I think. Trey's next in line.
Okay, Trey. Dang.
Trey Johnson. Trey went NBA. He was a star at Jackson.
Why do you think he's
Didn't he go to the Lakers? Didn't Trey go to the Lakers?
I
think he did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think, hey, somebody check on Trey. Did Trey go to the Lakers?
So, what do you think that he brings to the table?
Who, Trey?
Yeah.
He knows the game. He's played on the highest level, and it's time.
Played for the Lakers for a spell.
Okay, yeah, I thought he went to the Lakers. Yeah, I thought he went to the Lakers. He said he was up there for a cup of coffee. Okay, all right. I remember when he played for Jackson.
Tell us about it, Mr. Ford.
He was a high scorer. He was a big-time scorer. Could shoot it from all over the floor. He could do some things.
That will definitely be.
Huh?
That would be interesting, right? To have him at the helm at Alcorn. Interesting. He played at Alcorn as well.
Oh, I didn't know he played. I saw him at Jackson. I didn't know. So he played at Alcorn? I didn't know that.
Allegedly.
Well, I think Lindsey Hunter did that too, didn't he? Didn't Lindsey play at Alcorn and Jackson?
Before you be asking me all these questions.
I think somebody. Hey, didn't Lindsey Hunter play?
Allegedly, he did. Allegedly, he did.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He played it because Lindsey didn't. He went to Alcorn because Lindsey's high school basketball team. They have them ranked as one of the top 25 basketball teams in the history of high school basketball. Hey, what high school team did Lindsey Hunter play for? What high school?
Yep, Lindsey started at Alcorn. Dang, y'all.
Yeah, what high school did he play for? What high school did Lindsey Hunter play for, guys?
Murrah.
There you go. Yeah, Murrah. the team that he was on is considered one of the greatest high school basketball teams ever. I've seen it in 2 or 3 publications. Yes. There was a kid on there with him named Lothridge. It was Lindsay, this guy named Lothridge. And there was, hey, y'all know what I'm talking about, right? Somebody know, tell me about that team. Yeah. There you go.
Murrah High School Mustangs.
Yeah. That team is considered one of the greatest in the history of high school basketball. Yeah, Ryan Lothridge. He was on that team. I think Lothridge played European basketball, right? Didn't Lothridge play European basketball? Didn't he go to Europe? Somebody?
Mr.
Anybody
Ford,
answer?
you be dropping the T. Let them talk first.
I'm serious.
The
Okay, what it
greatest
says there.
ever in JPS is 833.
Okay, who was 833?
I thought, I guess that's Murrah.
Oh, okay. I thought that Lothridge went over to Europe. I don't know if he went to the NBA. I know he went to Europe, I believe. Them guys was
Lanier.
under
They said Lanier.
What did Lanier do? They won it.
Best basketball school in JPS. Murrah is 1400 like JSU. Lord, you got these folks riled up, Mr. Ford, because you know Murrah, Lanier.
Listen, it was something I was getting ready to tell you. It'll come back to me.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, if you wanted things done right, hire a JSU alum, but I ain't say no names. You over here dropping teeth.
What I was going to tell you, that Andy Stoglin had Lindsey Hunter in them. Hey, guys, wasn't it Andy Stoglin? Wasn't he the coach at Jackson when it was Lindsey Hunter in them?
Let me look. Andy Stoglin.
Andy Stoglin. I'm saying the coach at Jackson State when Lindsey Hunter was there. Was it Andy Stoglin?
Lindsey Hunter inducted into the Mississippi Sports Hall of Fame class of 2021. It says under the guide Orsman Jordan. It says Lynn Jackson.
DJ, it was Stoglin. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Stoglin.
2 state championships, while Lindsey Hunter teamed with James Robinson under the guidance of Hall of Fame coach Orsman Jordan in the 1980s. Lindsey played 1 year at Alcorn State under Davey Whitney before transferring to Jackson State. Hunter's game blossomed at JSU, where he averaged over 20 points per game, dished out 440 assists, and made 257 steals over his 3 years on Lynch Street. He won SWAC Player of the Year honor, and when he left, he was the second all-time scorer in school history. A first-round draft pick in 1993, Hunter played in the NBA for 17 seasons. He totaled 937 games, 7,956 points, and handed out 2,506 assists. His team made the playoffs in 12 of the 17 seasons. Since retiring as the player, he's coached at the NBA as an interim head coach and an assistant. He's also been a coach at Mississippi Valley State University.
And he has now. Did he win with Detroit and the Lakers? Did he win a NBA championship with Detroit and the Lakers? DJ 85, didn't he win it? I think he won it with remember when they had what's that guy's name? One was named Ben Wallace. The other guy was named Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton. He was on that team. Yeah, okay, yeah. He says Lindsey has 3 rings. He has 3 NBA championships. Detroit and the Lakers. I knew it was something like that. Yeah, because he was on them Detroit teams. That's when Larry Brown, you had Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace. What is that right? Rasheed Wallace?
Pistons and Lakers.
Yeah. You remember that? Yeah, that's right. He was Rasheed Was it Rashid? What was Rashid's name?
Rasheed Wallace.
Rashid Wallace. He had a guy named Prince. Was it Prince? He was tall and skinny. Was from California. Then they had the guy Richard Hamilton and Chauncey Billups. Remember that crew?
I remember Chauncey Billups.
What about Antonio Dice? Remember Antonio Dice?
That sounds like NBA Hang Time Sega Genesis type of
Yeah,
game.
thank you, bro. That's BW Bay. You're right. That's Sean Prince. That's his name. Yeah, there they go. Rashid Wallace. Yeah, that was a great team. I remember them guys. Them guys used to go up against Tim Duncan and they would beat up the Lakers. Them some good guys, man. Larry Brown coached that team.
Coach Striblin ain't coming back through the door.
No, he shouldn't. If he do, I'm running.
Why? Why are you running?
Because he's deceased. Yeah, I remember. You know, when I was a student, he was the coach at Mississippi Valley. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's right. We loved Coach Trill. Yeah, Antonio McDice. Antonio came from Alabama. He played for Wimp Sanderson, University of Alabama. Yeah. Hey, there go bro Jerome. Hey, that Jerome right there.
Yeah, tell Jerome to come up here real quick.
Hey, bro Jerome. Come on up here and say to MEAC, bro Jerome. Come on up here with your brilliant mind and say to MEAC.
Oh, that got me crying. Oh, goodness gracious.
Does Jackson State have an athletic museum?
No, we need. No,
yeah,
we
that's
need
right. Y'all need. That's right. You need one.
Museum. We need a SWAC Hall of Fame museum.
And you need one for Jackson State too.
Oh goodness, you made me cry. Talking about some.
Yeah, I love those Coach Tripp, man. Coach Tripp used to be dead sharp, man. He would come to Grambling, boy. Everybody be waiting to see what he gonna put on.
Oh, he put that. He put it on.
Yeah, he would come in the gym with a sweatsuit on, and then he would go and change. He put on that $1,000 suit on.
Oh,
he could coach too. Yeah, and he could coach too.
You think Dooley took after him?
No, Dooley ain't bad as Coach Scribb now. Coach Scribb was something else.
Hey, Avis. Brother Jerome.
Brother Jerome.
Hey, D, I love how y'all doing.
Hey, come on up here and say to me, hey, Brother Jerome.
Hey, we need DJ85 to click that link and come up here too.
Oh my God.
Look, that's the interview. Look, that's gonna go platinum. But no, but no, hey, I honestly don't know what it's gonna take. You know, there were rumors, of course, that Tennessee State was gonna join the MEAC as well, but and you know, to Timona's point, as far as the D2 schools like, you know, Virginia State, Fayetteville State, I just don't think with the new rules in place, they're going to have the working capital, just the cash on hand to join Division I. So honestly, unless some PWIs are willing to, you know, partner with the MEAC to join them, honestly don't know. I mean, I thought they were doing all right as a 6-member team, you know, league. But apparently, you know, things are. And here's another thing. It's like there's internet rumors on Twitter. I honestly feel like sometimes we got to take things at a grain of salt because there are people in those MEAC spaces that will post things just for content or rage bait or whatever, you know, engagement. Right. So the MEAC recently released a video, I want to say it was this past fall, where all the conference presidents, you know, stated they were, you know, they had the buy-in and they were committed to the MEAC. So I don't think there have been any changes in leadership in those schools since then. So I don't feel like any of that stuff in those MEAC streets are credible sources, to be honest. I was gonna be shady and say something about some of those folks on Twitter in the MEAC spaces, but I'm not. I just, I feel like the presidents that are there, they are committed to the MEAC. Now, with respect to the leadership of the MEAC, it may not be the best, but I feel like what they've got in place right now, it's solvent, and they're still together. They're rocking out with each other. So until I see something credible from like a president, because even before A&T left, there was smoke, and we saw the smoke coming from the A&T leadership. So we haven't seen anything like that from any of the member institutions. So I'm not buying into it. I think it's just engagement.
Dre said we have a Twitter athletic director. And they've been saying the same stuff for 5 years.
Right.
So I just thought it was interesting because every time this dialogue comes up, some of these same folks, like you said, which is that just because you are a representative, meaning just because, like, for instance, just because I went to Jackson State doesn't mean everything that I say is how everybody at Jackson State feels. So with that same token, the only issue that I have is that a lot of these folks be like, oh yeah, I'm tapped in. I got the drop on it. I'm locked in. I know this person and I know that person. And it's like, just say in your opinion, or,
right.
Instead of making it seem like this is straight from the president and whole time you do not have a beeline to the president.
They don't. It's a lot of wannabes on MEAC Twitter spaces. So, and I'm not trying to be funny. I can verify that. But here's the thing, though. Here's a caveat. With these MEAC schools, with the exception of Delaware State, that's kind of in that region, like, why would those MEAC schools join either of those conferences, given the further distance and travel that they would have to, take on? Because looking at the CAA, if I'm not mistaken, that conference goes all the way up to like Maine, Vermont, the New York metro area. Like, why would any MEAC school want to dive into that? That just puts you in a bigger financial hole. So yeah, I don't. It's just rumors. But Mr. Ford,
think that FAMU and Bethune-Cookman are going to bring us down like the MEAC. What do you think
tell
about
him,
that?
Avis. I definitely believe that. I've been saying that for years, and I know Mr. Ford, you don't agree with me. They are the worst thing that ever happened to our conference. I want them jokers out today. Do you remember the first 24 months they was in the conference, all the mess and drama that came from their campuses? It was embarrassing. We got to get them out. Avis, let's lead a march in Birmingham. I'm down. Mr. Ford, I know you got something to say. I know you got something slick to say, but the entire conference agrees with me and Avis. Mr. Ford, you sleep. The lady from Grambling reviewing contracts and stuff and ain't getting paid enough for that.
Mary said, don't y'all try to toss us back to the MEAC. Mr.
Man,
Ford,
they got to go.
at FAMU saw the signs. They was in a mass MEAC meeting. They saw the signs. popped Bethune-Cookman on the head and said, hey, let's go. So where are we going? Just come with me. Just come with me. And popped out.
What they did was they waited till
you gotta pop out and show them.
Look, what it was is they waited till COVID. We was all down during COVID. Well, nobody paying attention during COVID. Everybody was trying to, to make it
survive at the house.
And they just slid in. But see, I've been saying this though, low key. I feel like they should both go back to the SIAC. And hear me out, because a lot of their old school rivals are still there. Over the last 10 years or so, when FAMU plays, they kick off the season versus Fort Valley or Tuskegee or Albany State, it's like sold out. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody and their mama out there. So and those schools are a lot closer. So,
But Jerome, that's Lane College. That's Mars Hill. That's let me see, not Claflin. Benedict College. Ain't none of them schools got nothing in common with FAMU. Nothing.
but
What
FAMU
does
ain't got nothing to
FAMU have in
though.
common with Lane College?
Well, so I mean,
Their
that's kind
football,
but see that's kind of picking the
their
the
football
lowest of
program
the,
lose to now
that's kind of picking the lowest. So when we say lane, but you got to
Lane
look at,
College.
but you got to look at the likes of like Tuskegee and the UC and Albany and Fort Valley. I would say between about 5 or 6 schools in Georgia and Alabama, those schools are going to be big draw. Even Miles College, those are going to be big draws for FAMU. And here's the thing: if they go back D2, not only going to be closer to those schools, majority of those schools than they are to the SWAC, but they're going to save money by not having to field a baseball team, etc. So again, because here's the thing: from a geographic standpoint, Florida A&M and Bethune-Cookman, they're just kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation when it comes to the MEAC and SWAC, because majority of those schools are further away. But the SIAC, it just makes so much sense because even with Edward Waters and Savannah State right up the road, I know you said Benedict. Benedict has a nice little fan base. They got pretty decent athletics in football and basketball. It just makes financial sense. But again,
Yeah, but listen, Jerome, it ain't no
pride,
vision in that SIAC. None. When you look at that conference off, what's that commissioner's name? What's the commissioner's name of the SIAC?
I forgot.
That's what I'm talking about. There's ain't nothing coming out of that SIAC office. Nothing. Ain't nothing coming out that office.
Wait a minute. We don't follow D2 football like that.
Listen, and by the way, always remember, FAMU was in the SIAC with Alabama State and Alabama A&M and Bethune-Cookman, so that's 3 of them right there from the SIAC.
Well, according to Avis, they can all go back.
Listen, I done told y'all, combine the MEAC and the SWAC under the direction and leadership of Dr. Charles McClellan. That's beginning. For the MEAC, demand the resignation of Miss Sandra Steele tomorrow morning at 9 a.m.
So looking for if we combine the MEAC and the SWAC, do we keep the SWAC name? Like, what are we doing with the celebration bowl?
Listen, that's the least of our worries. We'll get to that. Dr. McClellan will make that decision. That's not major.
Oh my God.
Small stuff.
Small things to a giant.
Small stuff. Like I told you, see, this is what we do. We study in calculus for hours, and then we look to the right, and it's a naked picture of Kim Kardashian, and then we get distracted. And that's what we can't do. Don't get distracted by the Kim Kardashians of the world.
The commissioner said the door is closed. It's been closed.
No, we got to listen.
Who said that? McClellan?
Yes. Every time I had a chance to ask him the question, it was the same answer. We're fine with the institutions that we have. We're not looking to expand any further. So Ladarius, is his idea. I'm going to read it to you. The Southwestern Athletic, dang, I can't even say it. Atlantic Athletic Conference. This is
how you pronounce that? SWAC.
What?
Hey, Mr. Thornton, right? Grambling is my school, Mr. Thornton. Yes, it's my school.
You just add in an extra A.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the logo.
God, please help me. Just y'all, everybody imagine an extra A. Okay, but Ladarius said, okay, so here's how the pods would work. You have SWAC, Mid-Atlantic Coastal Pod. That would be Norfolk State, North Carolina Central, South Carolina State, Tennessee State, and Virginia Union. The SWAC East is FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, Delaware State, Howard, and Morgan State. I don't even know how he had FAMU and Bethune-Cookman all the way over there on the East Coast. Okay. And then the SWAC Mid-South is Alcorn State, Valley, Alabama A&M, Bama State, and Jackson State University. And I must have missed when he posted the SWAC West, because that would be Prairie View, Texas Southern, UAPB.
Hey, Bro Jerome, let me ask you a question.
Oh yeah.
Do you now, are you old enough to remember when the AFL and the NFL merged? Or that's before your time?
Yeah, that's before me.
That's before. Okay. Listen, Mr. Moan, I got to get in bed. I got to deal with them children in the morning.
Have a good night, Mr. Ford.
Okay, y'all coming back Saturday?
Yes, Mr. Ford.
Okay, all right. Okay. Well, y'all have a good night.
I mean, what could happen in 2 days? I don't think there's going to be any new information. We've really hashed out everything. What more could we talk about?
No. Listening to Blue today, it's going to be some, like you always say. And by the way, you picked that about that Alabama A&M coach being let go. You said that. I saw that they
Mr.
let
Ford,
him go.
I am 2 for 2 right now.
Yeah, you are. You said that they were going to let him go. I'm waiting to see who's going to get that job with that beautiful arena. That's a beautiful arena.
Need to be seeing is
Miss Whitley, y'all have a good night. Dr. Kanisha, y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good night.
Well,
Okay.
What's up?
so basically, this whole rumor is just a bunch of I needed engagement and I needed folks to watch my channel type of deal.
Absolutely.
Are you serious?
I mean, that's what most people are gathering from this. Because again, you know, when A&T was about to leave, there was a lot of smoke online from reputable sources in the A&T camp. You know, until you see people, or let's say like affinity groups, like booster clubs, etc., dropping innuendos online. Yeah, there's no smoke. The entire MEAC Council of Presidents, you know, they have bought in and they're committed to the conference. They ain't going away. They'll be out.
So there's no smoke or fire. Because here's my thing. When I looked at the new house settlement and all the money associated with that, I was like, well, dang, you know, the MEAC's definitely going to have to pull in more revenue if they're going to be sustainable. You got to pull in more revenue, conference revenue. And then I'm just like, well, how is the SWAC able to pull in, you know, so much more deals? Is it that the leadership just doesn't know what they're doing, or, you know, you can't package your 6 schools together enough to sell it to sponsors? What is going on?
I feel like some of this is cultural, to be honest. I feel like Black folks in the Deep South are just more vested into Black spaces and Black organizations than the East Coast. And I say that because when you look at A&T in Hampton, they left a Black conference in which they amassed so much notoriety, research, fan base, etc. They left that conference and went to another conference that was on its last leg. Unbeknownst to us, it was about to close down. It was at the Big South. And then they left the Big South that eventually merged with the OVC. They left that conference for the CAA, a conference in which it's heavyweights like, what is it, ODU, George Mason, etc. The
Delaware.
big name, Richmond, Delaware, all those big name programs that made that conference, they made their way out. And then when A&T got to that conference, wasn't there some type of scandal or something, like with the school saying it was almost like, you know, the Negroes are coming in, so we want to leave. It was something that happened.
It was basically like it's getting a little bit too niggery in here.
Exactly. Like, why would y'all? So you gotta look at this.
Why would you want to be in a conference where they're like, it's getting a little bit too niggery around here? Like, what?
Yeah. It wasn't there a situation where there was like a MEAC school, or maybe it was A&T or one of those schools that went to play a Big South school, and it was like a racist attack or something. Like, I don't know if it was soccer or it was something last year that happened. But anyway, like, why would y'all, as an administration, why would you want to put your student athletes through that? And why would you want to put your fan base through that? So instead of throwing rocks at this Black leadership in the MEAC, look at your individual schools who left. That's who you need to be throwing rocks at. Because I'm not going to, as a president, I'm not going to put my students or my student athletes or my alumni in those spaces. And then you look at the payout back. I think that A&T announced with respect to their media rights and the CAA, it wasn't even close to what we're getting in the SWAC. So to Mr. Ford's point, go back to the MEAC and just get the MEAC to try to model what's going on in the SWAC. To me, I feel like that's going to be one of the many solutions.
And I'm confused because I'm like, you really think that those schools, especially the private ones, are going to stay in the CAA if all you Negroes move over there?
Nope. And that's why I say, from a cultural standpoint, even with A&T going, like, Hampton kind of makes sense because they're private. They got a large endowment like some of those other schools. But A&T, you're a public institution. Your endowment is nowhere near in the same tax bracket as those private institutions. So from a cultural standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense for Norfolk, South Carolina State, et cetera, or Central.
When I heard South Carolina State, I'm like, are you joking? Like,
exactly.
South Carolina State, I think of them as like, if we're thinking in terms of the SWAC, it's like an Alcorn, where your program does not necessarily have the funding, but you're able, through coaching, grit, you're able to make something out of it, right?
Right.
Especially in these days and times. So now I have a question, because I know you're really thoroughly like involved in terms of like research dollars and stuff like that. So one of the things that some of these schools talked about was that they were more culturally aligned with their academic side for some of these schools in the CAA.
Which is a lie, because here's the thing, and that was one of the reasons A&T said they were leaving the MEAC to join, you know, the Big South of the CAA. They alluded to their march to R1 being more attainable by being in that conference, which is stupid, because Howard back in 1988 became the first HBCU to reach R1 status. They just got it back this year.
Again, in the
MEAC. In the MEAC. And that's the thing with A&T. I've told A&T alums, like, you guys reached R2 status in the MEAC. You attained all this research, you know, prominence, as well as engineering prominence, et cetera, while in the MEAC. So you guys are being basically kind of like bamboozled with that reasoning. So, you know, it's so, like, we've seen within the Big Ten. The Big Ten has a tradition of great STEM programs because they have somewhat of a consortium within the conference. But the CAA does not have that type of Big Ten consortium. So A&T's leadership was just, you know, throwing stuff at the wall, hoping something would stick. They could have.
And now I'm kind of like, you see all this funding that's being cut by the president, dismantlement of the Department of Education. Like, this is not a time to assimilate. This is a time to insulate. And we already have our Celebration Bowl. We got our MEAC SWAC challenge. Ain't no need in trying to be in the playoffs. Y'all need to be trying to insulate, not assimilate. Y'all, that time for assimilating into PWI conferences, PWI culture, that is gone. you need to be trying to come right back on over here to the nigga side. Come on
And I'm
over
gonna be
here
real.
with a black only pies. Like, this is not
Look,
the time.
and to Mr. Ford's point as far as leadership, if I were the leader of the MEAC, I would make all of the member schools sign an agreement not to play any of those schools who left. Like, starve them out. When it comes to Hampton or A&T, no. Even D2 schools like Winston-Salem State, don't schedule them because they're using you. Like, how you gonna leave us? And then, once you notice that, the attendance is falling, you're gonna try to schedule us to put some money. Nah, man, that's ridiculous. And that might be to Mr. Ford's point as far as leadership. At some point, you got to put your foot down.
Yeah, because that's one of their biggest games. North Carolina Central versus A&T. That's the
And not
biggest
just that.
game.
This past fall, A&T kicked off the season with Winston. It was like a sold out game. And I ain't gonna lie, the vibe was nice, but it made a lot of revenue for A&T. Great atmosphere, but nah, and then they're playing South Carolina State as well. I know that's one of South Carolina State's bigger games, but South Carolina State, they could easily pack out their stadium playing Savannah State, which is not too far away. So, yeah. But again, to your point, as far as research and all that, it has nothing to do with conference affiliation.
I'm just like thinking of all the different reasons that I heard that they left. And then I'm always getting like this backlash of, well, you don't understand it. And obviously, apparently your MEAC office don't understand it neither, because we're not getting no understanding on why your institutions are so unhappy. And it's to the point where it's like, do something or we're gonna leave.
So what it all boils down to, the real reason, and Mr. Ford and I talked about this before, it all boiled down to egos. And that MEAC beef, it stemmed all the way back to the 80s with President Humphreys at FAMU. And then, you had the A&T chancellor, Howard president, Hampton. Those were like the four presidents that consistently had beef. And it was a power struggle. So, that was, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, that was the real breakdown. They claimed it was travel, but you jump into another conference where you got to travel all the way up to New York. Like, it doesn't make any sense. They just didn't want to be in the MEAC anymore because of the beef and the egos. They couldn't get along. Now that these schools have different presidents and chancellors, it's time to come back and make amends and just bring everybody back to the table. And I wouldn't be surprised if A&T leads the way. Hampton, I doubt it because their president is still very much a protege of Dr. Harvey, but I can definitely see A&T doing that. If A&T can come back as a full member and they're able to grab Tennessee State, the MEAC could be even stronger. They'll be fine.
You want to answer this?
It says, why does the SWAC trying to why the SWAC trying to tell the MEAC how to run our business? How did the BCIC tournament do? Well, that wasn't the SWAC endeavor.
Who was the BCIC tournament ran by?
And what school did they go to?
His school.
Oh,
the jokes write themselves.
Don't they? I told you the call be coming from inside the house.
Themselves
every time, man.
Go do your research and see.
I'm gonna say something, right? So I remember a buddy of mine, Victor. He told me that back in in 2001, there was the inaugural Peach State Classic, and it was Jackson State versus A&T in the Georgia Dome. And during the talks and the meetings and trying to get the classic organized, they had membership from both institutions at the table. And the Jackson State folks were basically like, the A&T people were clueless because A&T people did not traditionally or consistently been involved in events of that magnitude. So they didn't know what I's to dot, what T's to cross. They didn't know anything with respect to partnerships or just anything on that magnitude. And down through the years, I can say that is pretty consistent with most MEAC people. They don't have the acumen or background that most SWAC schools and professionals have with those types of spaces, because we've been doing this for the last 50, 60, 70 years. So we know what we're doing. But and that's all I'm going to say. I'll just leave it at that.
If you want things done right, hire an alum of VILO. Or,
Thanks.
SWAC. They're getting the SWAC band directors. Dr. Kanisha said, dang, well, how many more SWAC band directors are we going to hire?
Honestly, when you look at the foundations of a lot of MEAC band programs, from Morgan State to Howard to Norfolk State, even Barney Smart from Hampton, legendary Barney Smart, he went to Alabama A&M, A&T. Majority of those bands have
Isn't the Winston-Salem State?
Yeah, Winston-Salem State, Dr. Magruder, he was my assistant at Jackson State. Yeah, quite a few of these East Coast marching bands, they got SWAC groups.
Some of the huge high school bands. And the car. That's the I love.
Look.
Okay, let me get off my high horse about Jackson State,
But nah, you know what? What they say in the chat? I can't see it.
I can't put it up there. I can't put it up there. Are you reading the chat? Are you reading it?
I can't see it. What they say?
You can't see it?
Nah.
Lord, I can't put it up there. I can't put it up there.
Hold up.
Oh, God, have mercy on my soul.
So somebody said not the Spartan Legion. So let me give you a quick history lesson.
No, go a little bit further up than that.
Oh, hold up. He said you guys are really full of yourselves.
No, go up a little bit more. With Whitley. Whitley always in some mess, honey. They be going back and forth with her in the chat. Somebody said, okay, let me stop. I'll send it to you. I'll screenshot it and send it to you. God help me. Y'all, I'm trying to keep it together. It's 11 o'clock. They said not the Spartan Legion. They want to make it clear that the SWAC is not involved in that. I'm gonna send it to you. God, please help me.
Hey, but as you're sending that to me, just a quick history lesson regarding Norfolk State. There was a brother named Paul Adams, and one of Paul Adams' first stops after he graduated from Southern was at Norfolk State. And he actually he's the architect of the Spartan Legion theme, in which he modeled after Michigan State.
Y'all, this is some history now. Some history for you.
Absolutely. Like, he got things kickstarted at Norfolk State just with respect to that whole Spartan Legion theme, which he mimicked or modeled after Michigan State. After leaving Norfolk State, I think he went back to Howard as their head band director in the late 70s, early 80s, before coming to Jackson State in the early mid 80s to join Dow Taylor. But yeah, Norfolk State has SWAC groups as well.
Behold the green and gold. Behold.
Yo, y'all are funny.
You see how they be cutting up in the. So some
I
of
saw
y'all,
that.
when I start just busting out laughing, 9 times out of 10, I done read something in the comments and I can't put it up there because then I'll be involved in the mess. I gotta keep it in the chat. I'm you know what? I'm glad that you came up here and kind of put things at bay in terms of the Twitter fodder that has caused a firestorm, you know, that, you know, a lot of this is just folks needing views and engagement. I waited. I waited a little bit. And then I was like, this doesn't sound right. It don't. The
Not at
more I
all.
thought about it, the more, not especially when that house settlement, the more I get closer to it, I'm just like, wow, I don't know how this is going to work. I think that we might be trying to put too much dip on our chip if we're talking about funding all of the scholarships, especially looking at what the other FCS conferences are doing with schools with bigger athletic budgets than ours.
Right. And I feel overall both conferences are solid. They will be fine. I feel like here's the thing. I'll put this out there. I have no doubt that because we've already seen the fall of the Big South. I feel like the OVC is going to fall apart before the MEAC will.
Baby, when I looked at those numbers that of which it's the OVC, meaning it's you're supposed to be doing better, right?
Right.
When I looked at Tennessee State, I want to say they got maybe $100,000 this past year in conference distribution.
Wow.
I was like, you're supposed to be that much more elevated and that much better, right? So why is Tennessee State only getting $100,000? You should have been in the SWAC, MEAC, wherever.
Yeah, I've got buddies that are deeply connected with TSU, and they tell me that their conference is still falling apart. Even with the addition of the Big South, there are still teams looking to make a jump, either to FBS or to another conference. So their conference is on its last leg more than the MEAC is.
And that's why I was just like, now's the time to insulate. And then I was like, if the CAA is even thinking about accepting that many Black institutions, let's just keep it a buck. You're on your last leg.
Facts.
You are not getting ready to invite a whole bunch of Black schools because you guys are so good. You're trying to fill that void because you must know that some of these teams are getting ready to leave soon.
Yep.
And so then you're going to get there, and then all of a sudden you're going to get an announcement from 2 to 3 schools that they're leaving. So then that effectively nullifies whatever type of standing agreement that they have in terms of media rights, right? Yeah. Now you're over here stuck, and they used you as a scapegoat.
And you look at the caliber of schools that are in the CAA, like Campbell, which is in Bowie's Creek, North Carolina. The stadium is probably like 5 levels up, you know, as far as stands. Like, why would you want to join that, or the likes of that, with respect to some of those other schools that don't have a big stadium, they don't have a big fan base? Like, it's, to Mr. Ford's point, like a Stockholm syndrome. Like, that's sad.
Yeah, I was just like, wait, somebody told me that they would rather go D3 than join the SWAC. Me personally, I don't want you guys to join the SWAC either. I want you to fix your shit. Right. I don't want y'all over here. We are stable. If you guys need some Zoom calls, you know, the commissioner will help you. You know, whatever it is that y'all need to get it right. We don't want you to come over here no more than you. I don't want to merge. I want it to be the MEAC and the SWAC, but I do want y'all to get y'all shit together.
Facts. And they will. They will. And again, now that most of these presidents, most of these institutions in the MEAC have new leadership, I feel like I can tell they're all bought into, sticking with the MEAC. I do think the MEAC does need some new leadership. I'm not going to talk bad about that woman like that, but
I don't know her to say anything, but just the amount of complaining, I was like, if it is as bad as you guys say it is, why wouldn't all the presidents get together and say, hey, we need that letter of resignation or we're leaving? Like, why wouldn't that be your first go-to? Why would your first go-to be to jump out of the conference? Like, if it's the leadership, why wouldn't you ask for a resignation?
And that's the thing a lot of people miss and fail to admit. All those years that Dennis Thomas was the commissioner, so essentially the commissioner works for the Council of Presidents. And you guys could have collectively gotten together. It may not have been a unanimous vote, but you guys had enough power on your side to have gotten rid of him. To me, it wasn't him. It was basically one president in particular trying to be the puppet master, and some of these other presidents with egos, they just couldn't get along. So now that those folks are out the way, go back and fix your conference.
You would have a sit down and say, what can we do? Yeah, Dre, because you over here clowning. Dre talking about if we play Morgan State in the vet, it would be the one time the attendance number would be right. Max said, you ain't wasting our grass. You got to win something. You ain't gonna be wasting our grass. You have to win something. Go win in your own conference first before you come see about us. We the Jackson State Tigers. You can't come over here and just play us.
And you know what? Morgan State people are actually really good people. They just got one or two bad representation. I don't know.
We don't even know if MEAC Mike is really from Morgan State, to be honest. You just don't know. You really never know. Like when folks be trolling on Twitter, and that's why when they be over there talking mess, I'd be like, man, bye. Y'all have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed day. I'm not even ready to argue with you. I don't even know if you're real. Oh my goodness. Well, Mr. Ford over there talking about I'm coming on Saturday. I'm gonna just be honest with you. What is gonna happen? What could possibly happen in the next 48 hours that would cause me to have to get up on here on a Saturday?
Exactly.
What could possibly go down?
Unless, it happens in quotation marks. And we have a new leader in DC, like just ain't nothing happening.
Ain't nothing happening. Ain't nothing happening, y'all.
15 fans.
She's talking about Max when he was talking. Alcorn gonna hire Margaret for their men's basketball coach. Dre, more mess. There is nothing else that could possibly happen in 48 hours other than folks lying. Southern getting put on probation. Wait a minute. Allegedly, what is this? See, we're going to get up off of here because I don't know nobody's saying on Shelovesthee podcast, they said, we didn't say that. Allegedly, there's a whole bunch of stuff that be going down in the chat.
Now, wait, Chris, are you talking about athletic probation or are you talking SAC COC probation?
The other type of probation, the Divine Nine, why you didn't say that one? You talking about SAC's accreditation. Wait a minute. Southern band staff in trouble. Ooh, that is T. Red stick allegations. I don't even know what a red stick is.
That's the name for Baton Rouge.
I learned something new. Red stick allegations. Southern's band staff is in trouble. See, there's some stuff. I'm not messing with these band folks. Band folks are something else You know that drum? You a band, folks, so you already know. Y'all come with something. Y'all do. Y'all come with something.
I stay out of those circles, man. But
So over there talking about somebody's horns, they be ready to fight.
thanks.
They be ready to fight. Talking about whose drums is better. Oh my God. Wait a minute.
Speaking
You
of
ready to-
band, have you checked out the Boom's new clips? What is it called? The
They
something?
are basically piling. This is what we call piling it on.
Bags.
Fatality. Like I see that they're doing it in the new band hall, which looks amazing.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the president and whomever else made that possible for their new band room. It looks beautiful. But when we talk about the elevation of universities as a whole and like making sure that each section is covered, whether it's the engineering students traveling or our bowling team at the SWAC tournament or the band, the football team, like everything is covered. You see so much of Jackson State and the brand of it. And I love it.
Absolutely. I feel like Jackson State in the last, really, I was going to say 12 months, but really since COVID has done a master class in branding and marketing. I posted this in the group chat.
Yes.
I'm like, Dr. Little and Mr. Johnson, cool. That don't make no sense. But hold on.
Who is Mr. Johnson?
Oh, yeah, man. It's crazy. You know, just the way that the Booms media, as well as the staff, has just continued to strike while the iron is hot. What they're thinking is long term when it comes to recruitment and corporate sponsorships and just visibility and branding. So the Boom, Jackson State, University Athletics, all three of them are just running a masterclass on how to consistently brand. So kudos to them.
Yes. If it was ever a possibility to just increase the brand and like I think you said, sponsorships, getting invited to some of the most coveted events, getting contacted by artists to perform. It's just on a whole nother level.
Thanks. But again, to your point, if you want your stuff to pop, call who?
Be our love at Jackson State. It's not. It really isn't a lie, though. Coach
Yeah.
Don is a Jackson State alum, and Alabama A&M had their biggest win. I want to say ever. I don't want to say ever, but winning 20 or more games. It's been a long time for Alabama A&M, if ever. And Don Thornton is alum of Jackson State University. TC Taylor came. He was, he's been here, but brought to the forefront as the head coach, and in his second year, undefeated in conference and a national championship.
Thanks.
You can't go wrong. That's the resume speaks for itself. Band
Now,
director.
is Dawn going to stay at A&M or is she going to take that role?
The Arkansas position, I haven't heard very much about that. I think we're going to be hearing the Alcorn head coach for the men's side. Alabama A&M on the men's side is open. So there's still a little bit of movement. Yeah. I don't think anything's going to happen in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Well, A&M like to hire JSU grads. You think they're going to snatch up Trey Johnson?
Wait a minute. What? Why do y'all keep saying Trey Johnson name like that? You think, man, that'll definitely be a highlight. Mo Williams versus, that in itself, if he was hired as the head coach at A&M on both the men and the women's side, that would definitely have to be a Saturday game. You got to make that a Saturday game because you got Coach Don Thornton, former, former Jackson State alum. Then you got Trey, former Jackson State alum, coming over to 1400 J.R. Lynch Street. Jay Brooks can say the moon is made of cheese and they will ask for a slice, but Johnny asked rebut a thing or two and they put me on death row. Lord, I don't know what's going on. Thank you for coming, Mr. Thornton. Most in AAMU women's basketball history thanks to a fellow Mississippian. Yeah, Coach Dawn Thornton. She's getting ready to have her name encrusted in a coaching hall of fame over at Alabama A&M for the most wins in women's basketball history already, and that's year one.
They could at least give us a thank you or something.
I mean, they be all like Sadiddy and stuff. Like, do you know who she is? They'd be like, oh, her style is so good. Yeah, that's that D.I. Love over there. That's that Jackson State swag. You know, that's how we carry ourselves.
Thanks.
Jackson State University, Huntsville campus over there.
Yo, if you knew how many JSU alums are working at A&M and have elevated A&M, you definitely understand that joke better. It's insane, Timbola.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's how it is though. Hired, With her top two studs out with injuries most of the year, she got it done. Look at Jay White. Jay White don't need to say nothing to you, huh? That battle between you and Jay White was iconic, and it came out to be true.
I told him that we were going to do that.
Congratulations, of course, to Coach Don Thornton. Sincerely, truly.
Absolutely.
Now, on to these fans and how they was talking all that noise, and they had a first round exit.
There's another school that hires a lot of JSU alums. I want to say it's either Southern. No, it's not Southern because they stay in the mess. It might be Alcorn or Texas Southern. It's one of the two. But typically, JSU alums that get hired in other SWAC schools, administration-wise, they do a phenomenal job.
More FAMU grads working on campus. What? They knew not to be going to work on their campus. Ain't gonna be there for long.
Right.
Let me stop, y'all. Oh Lord. Oh God. Guess what? I'm gonna be sleeping peacefully tonight. Peacefully, knowing that my SWAC conference is all right.
Thanks.
Y'all have a good night. We're gonna leave out how we normally do, listening to my favorite song, Reverend Paul Jones. Everybody be blessed. Thank you for coming on, Jerome.
Absolutely. I love y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I've had some days and some sleepless nights, but when I look around, and I think things over, clearly see the road. I ask the question, Lord. Lord, why so much pain? But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord. I won't complain. But He is so good to me. He's been good to me. More than this world you could ever be. He's been so good. But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say, thank you, Lord.